Growth, the process of increasing in size. A feature that is both individual, intrinsic, and throughout nature.
This is going to be so interesting, you know.
This is the moment we have been waiting for.
I'm feeling it now.
What has come before is now consigned to the history books. This new decade brings new challenges, new rivals, falling giants, and new beginnings.
Bang, bang, bang! 3 shots to the heart.
Oh,
in the back end. Oh, no!
Those who are climbing will meet. Who will fall by the wayside, and who will embody growth.
There's still wheel to wheel!
That is unbelievable!
League of Europe, grow or fade.
How is it going, everyone? Welcome back to the League of Europe. My name is J. Cole, bringing you guys the comms as always for the PC side of the League of Europe. We are here for round 9 this evening around the Silverstone Grand Prix, one of my personal favourite tracks, as a lot of people would tend to know. As I said, we are here for round 9 this evening. We are at the halfway mark now of the entire season, and it's already gone very quickly already for that halfway mark. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the second half of the season is going to be getting underway, especially as you can see the tracks that are lined up for the second half of the season. Of course, you can see that we have got Hungary at round 10, so that will be next week. Belgium will be at round 11 in 2 weeks' time, Italy in 3 weeks' time, and then in about 4 weeks' time, for sort of around Halloween time, we have got ourselves a break week. Then after we return from the break week, we're sort of in the Asian and American sort of territories. You've got Singapore, Japan, and then we've got USA, Mexico, Abu Dhabi, and Brazil to round it off for the entirety of the calendar for the first season of the PC tier. I will just quickly go over to the standings for you guys as well, just so you can get a bit of an update as to how the standings are looking so far. As you can see, Mr. Anchor, once again, another win last weekend for him, taking the full 25%, full 25 points, banging himself up to 192 points in total. Jake, or VSR Syke, or VSR Wills, I don't know, he loves to change his name. He's sitting in second in the standings. In fact, is tied with Mr. Dylan Warren, as he took the fastest lap and the second place last week. Very, very close to taking the win against Mr. Anchor. So close, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for him. But he is tied in second with Syke, so he's sitting in P3 at the moment. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight, so this gives another opportunity for Syke to try and push the gap away from him. Dan, or Zadama, is in 4th. He's on 83 points. Vallejo is in 5th with 47. Coop Janssen, who's actually, I believe, is going to be pulling out of the league. He is sitting in P6 at the moment with 39 points. E2, unfortunately, once again, not here tonight. He is on 35. V5 is in 8th with 31. Bree in 9th with 30, so the two Mercedes very close to each other. Black Panther is in 10th with 26 points. And 11th is Groundsy on 20 points, who unfortunately isn't here tonight to try and make a bit more of a gain on those guys just up ahead of him. O'Hardy in 12th on 18 points, again another one that's not here tonight. Graham in 13th with 18 points, tied with O'Hardy, so this can give him an opportunity to get away from that Ferrari. In 14th and 15th are both the AlphaTauris of Bones and Exy. Unfortunately, Bones isn't actually here tonight, however Exy is, so he's going to be doing that as well. Oops, apologies about that. In 16th, you can see is Gilzo on 11th, Frey in 17th with 10, Itendu is in 18th with 2, and then of course the ones that we still yet to have any sort of points at the moment, being WF Gaming, Cisco, Greenpoint, Warshaw, Tixi, and Inbounds Cupid, all are new reserves to the league, or I should say Tixi has taken a full-time seat in the Renault, and Inbounds Cupid is just currently a reserve for now, which makes that a bit interesting for tonight, and hopefully we will see how these guys get on, because they are both racing tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to go, and of course, without further ado, let's get ourselves straight into the race for tonight. So let's just have a quick look and see who has done what so far. In case you guys cannot also tell, I'm a little bit ill, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, the show must go on no matter what anyway. So, Mr. Anchor, he's the one currently sitting on pole at the moment. He's done a 24.2, I'm assuming, on the set of the soft compound of tyre. Zardama is actually in second with a 24.4. Those two are sort of well clear at the moment. Vallejo is sitting in third at the moment with a 25.1. Graham in fourth with 25.4. Tixi, the newcomer, in fifth with a 25.8. Exi is in sixth with 25.9. Itendu in seventh with a 26.4. Greenpoint very close behind him with a 26.4 as well. Inbounds Cupid with a 28.7. I believe he actually said this is his first league race for tonight, so we're looking forward to seeing how he is going to crack on in this league. Black Panther, Bree, Frey, Wills and V5 are all the ones yet to set any sort of lap so far. But what I am going to do is, I believe V5 is going to be the first one across the line. Obviously, unfortunately, Wills didn't get to pick his car, so he's not in the Williams, he's in the Ferrari tonight. But we're going to sit on board with Frey, as I think, sorry, he's just about to come out and finish his lap, as we've watched the Spaniard come around the final corner and slot himself into P5 just between Graham and Tixi. So, good lap from the Spaniard. But yeah, I mean, as I said, Wills, he's got a bit more of an opportunity this evening to try and make up for that lost points from last weekend from Dylan Warren, because at the moment, Mr. Anchor, he's rocketed clear. He's 90 points clear of the next car, which is Wills, Syke, Jake, however, I don't know, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll do what I usually do. I will sit on board with Jake as we're about to go for a lap around the Silverstone Grand Prix with the Ferrari, with the Williams, who's in the Ferrari car. Go. Wills comes across the line, he slots himself into P4 doing a 24.2, so Mr. Anchor has the advantage out of the two BSR guys for this evening. As I said, Dan or Zardama, he's currently sitting in P3 on a 24.4. Those guys quite clear of the rest of the field at the moment. But speaking of one of the XL members, we're going to go on board with the other XL member of Bree, who is currently on a lap. He was looking quite impressive in practice and has been showing pretty good pace throughout the past couple of rounds. So we'll stick on board with the man in the Mercedes. Of course, him and V5 are in their own little sort of battle at the moment. I think that's for like P8 in the championship. And hopefully, you know, they can sort of carry it on throughout that entire time as well. But looking on board with Bree now, he's making his way around the Stowe corner, nice and early on the power. Now coming out to the Vale chicane, or sorry, the final chicane around Vale corner. As Bree makes his way up to the line, what does the Maltese man do? Does he get in the 24s? Yes, he does. He goes and does a 24.7, fourth one to get himself into the 24s and slot himself into P4 for now. Go on board with the tyres that everyone's done their times on so far. So Tixi, in fact, the newcomer has actually just improved on his time. He slots himself into P6. So good time from the Finners. Vallejo goes up ahead of Bree as well. So a bit of it's a McLaren 3-4 at the moment. I wonder if both of the McLarens will be able to challenge these guys for this afternoon, and maybe it could be someone else sitting on top of that podium. We never know. As I say that, Mr. Anchor comes across the line and improves on his time, only by a minuscule amount, but nonetheless has improved on his time. Just riding on board with the German of Exi as he's just making his way around Magnus and Beckett's and coming around Chapel as well, as Black Panther's just come up to the line. He has gone and done a 28.1 on a set of the softs. I think he's probably going to want to try and improve on that time. Greenpoint in the Williams as well. He's just coming up towards the final chicane, as in fact he actually goes straight into the pits. But XE, the German, will stick on board with him now as he's making his way around the final chicane as we speak. Let's see, is it going to be an improvement on his time of that 25.9? As in fact, unfortunately, invalidated on that final corner. It would have been a massive improvement from him, but very, very unfortunate for him that he hasn't just invalidated his lap time. But let's see, is there anybody else that we can possibly go on board with? I think Inbounds Cupid is just starting a lap, or he's just done himself a lap. I'm not too sure at the moment. I think he's actually just starting a lap. Sorry, he's just going to be finishing a lap now. So we're right on board with V5 as he is just making his way around the track now as we speak. Of course, Inbounds Cupid just up ahead of him, probably going to just get out of the way of V5 as we speak. Yeah, there you go. As unfortunately, V5 has actually invalidated his lap, coming on to the Hangar Straight, so unfortunately for him there, I think he might still be trying to go for a bit of a lap just to see what he would have done. So we'll go off board for him. In fact, we'll run on board with Fraser. He's just making his way around the Copse corner now. Can be very easy to invalidate if you go wide there, but luckily he hasn't. Same through Magnus and Beck. It's quite easy to invalidate through there. It doesn't look as if he has so far, so Frey could be on for a bit of a good lap time here as he's just coming up to the end of the final sector. He's 4 tenths up on his time, so could be one of the next ones into the 24s. We'll keep on board with the Spaniard as he's making his way around Stone now. He does clip the grass ever so slightly, but he is going to be finishing his lap. So let's have a look. Frey around the Vale chicane. Now I'm coming up to the line. What does Frey go and do? It's 25.0, so close into the 24s, but a 25.0 from the Spaniard nonetheless. Good time from him. Looking to more than likely improve on that as well. V5 comes straight into the pits, so does Inbound Cupid, and I think so does XE. I see a Racing Point who's just on an outlap at the moment, and in fact, Dan or Zanema, he's the one that's going to be the next one across the line, so we'll stick on board with the McLaren, hoping he's going to be challenging the 2 VSR lads up the front. He did a very good job last weekend with trying to challenge Mr. Anchor. I think just where he lost the DRS to him in the end, it just hampered him and he couldn't sort of try and build that gap back up to him. So very unfortunate for him, but we're on board with him anyway as he's making his way around the Copse corner now. I know he'll use that as well, a little bit of a story between me and him. There was this pre-season race that we done for LOE, not the season that we're on at the moment, the last season, and he done a very nice overtake around the outside of me on here, and he definitely loves to gloat about it because I think that is his best overtake that he's ever done. So he'll constantly go about it, but nonetheless, Dan making his way around the final chicane now, dropping it in the second and short shifting it straight back up to 4th now as he comes around the final corner. Dan is it in contention with the 2 VSR guys up front, very close, but he's done a 24.3 and it's still not splitting those 2 VSR lads at the front there. Graham, next one that's going to be completing a lap, and in fact he's 5 tenths up on his time, so this will slot him into P6, maybe even beating out Bree for P5 here as Graham around Stone now as he makes his way up towards the final chicane. Is this going to put him up ahead of Bree? It may put him up ahead of Frey, but is it going to be up ahead of Bree as Graham around the final corner now? No, in fact, he doesn't go up ahead of Frey. He, in fact, only goes into P7, so he must have messed up that lap somewhere. It might have been through Stowe, I'm not too sure, but Itendu will be the next one across the line to get himself a lap done, and of course we've only got 3.5 minutes left to go of the session, so a lot of these guys are now going to be going out and getting some out laps done just so they can try and get that final lap in. At the moment, the only one that is yet to set a lap is the V5, unfortunately invalidating from before, but Itendu, the man in the Haas, the Frenchman, he missed out a couple of races throughout the past couple of races, but he is now of course back and hoping to bag himself a decent points position, as unfortunately he's invalidated going around Copse and puts it straight into a wall, so I don't think he's going to be going for any other sort of time in regards to that. But Greenpoint made his debut last weekend, unfortunately it just didn't work out for him. He is sitting in P11 at the moment, and this is looking like it could be actually a very good lap for him to try and build up on as he makes his way up towards Brooklands corner. He's only just slightly up on his time. I think that 26.4 he's going to want to try and improve on from that, so we'll stick on board with the Williams as I believe he will be the next one across the line to set himself that lap. In fact, it won't be, it will be our current championship leader off Mr. Anchor. He's making his way around Stowe now, and he's about a tenth up on his time. So let's have a look. Is Mr. Anchor going to be the first one in the 23 since Vallejo has retired from the session? Let's have a look. As Mr. Anchor coming around the final corner. Is he in the 23s? Narrowly missing out. He's a tenth and a half off of that, but a 24.1 from the Finn in the Alfa Romeo. Our current championship leader. Will Jake or Wills be able to try and counteract that? I know he's just coming out of the pits as we speak, and Zylama unfortunately isn't coming out of the pits, so he's already done all of his runs. There's no way he's gonna be able to get out of the pits and get into get a lap done. So Bree could be the next only one to try and beat these guys. As Greenpoint, he came home to finish his lap and put himself into P9 for now, so Itendo will be one of the first starters outside of the top 10 that can put on a fresh set of tyres if he so chooses. But Bree sitting in the top 5 at the moment, coming around Magnussen, Beckett and Chapel. Is he going to be up on his time? It's looking like it's a very clean way of coming through it. Here we go, Bree. Is he up? He is by a tenth. V5 unfortunately invalidating his lap, I believe, at Cops, so he's going to be starting at the back of the grid. But here we go, Bree coming around Stowe now. This will put him into P4 if he does manage to finish his lap. He's invalidated, unfortunately, but I believe he might be trying to go for another one. He can get another one in if he has the fuel to do it. Graham has retired from the session, so he's that's the best he's going to do is P8. So here we go, Bree coming and starting his lap once again. Frey just behind him, starting his lap as well. I believe Black Panther's just coming along the line. In fact, no, he hasn't. He's put himself into P10. Tixi is the one that has just come around the final corner to start his lap as well. Mr. Anchor, yeah, as I said, that's the best he is going to get. Wills is going to be the other one to make his way around the final corner. So we'll ride on board with him very shortly. But inbounds keep it, the newbie to the league as well as Tixi making his way around Chapel. Is he up on his time possibly? He's unfortunately not. He's down on it by about a tenth, so we'll keep a close eye out and see if he's going to be able to best that time, as Black Panther is actually disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. So yeah, there's no improvement for the Dutchman, for the Belgian, and in fact he's actually going to be starting at the back of the grid, not V5. But Dan, he managed to get a lap in only just. So we'll keep our eye out on for Dan and see if he's able to improve on that time of that 24.3. He could very well do it, but we'll keep our eye out for it. Exy, I think, is just making his way into the pit. So Frey, the next, it was going to be Frey that was the next one, but he's unfortunately invalidated his lap. Bree, I think, has messed up his lap somewhere. Yeah, because he's going very slowly. So Tixi is going to be the next one. He's done the 25.3 so far, and I believe this is a bit of an improvement at the moment as the newbie Finn comes around the Vale corner now and up towards the line. Tixi, is he into the 24s? Yes, he is, and in fact, he's only just behind Bree. So, Tixi into P6. What about Wills as he's coming around Stowe now? He's a 10th down on his time. He's gone very wide and goes straight into the pits. Zadama, the only one that's able to try and counteract it. Is he up on his time? No, he's not. He's actually down by a tenth on his time. So, I don't think Dan's going to be able to improve on his time. And I think the best he's going to get is P3. He's still going to be attempting it though anyway. So Dan coming around the final chicane now. Massive lock-up going in towards it. I think it's going to be down on this time. I don't think he's going to have any sort of improvement. Around the final corner comes Dan. Is it? No, only just missing out on that improvement. So very, very close was Dan. Inbounds Cupid. Just go straight into the pits. And that will be all she wrote for qualifying. Mr. Anchor once again chucking it on pole position. I mean, this is like his 4th pole position in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Wills has been bested once again by him. He's sitting in P2. Dan or Zadama in P3, and all McLaren orange. Sorry, 2nd row, as Vallejo is the one that has qualified in P4. Very close between 4th and 6th. Literally not even split by a tenth of a second. As Bree is the one that is sitting in 5th. He's splitting the two finished lads. The Maltese man. Tixi is sitting in P6. Frey is sitting in 7th with Xe and 8th. Very close between those guys. And same with Graham as well. Again, not even a tenth splitting. Well, just above a tenth splitting those three guys. But Graham, as said, in 9th with Greenpoint in 10th. Itendu is in 11th with Inbounds Cupid on his debut in P12. V5 is in 13th, unfortunately not getting a time done. And Black Panther is starting at the back of the grid as after he has disqualified in the qualifying session. But everyone in the chat, I want to see if you can get your top 3 predictions in there for me, please. I think it'll probably be how it is at the moment. I think it will be Mr. Anchor, Wills, and Dan, who will be the top 3. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to get down, especially if Dan is able to challenge those 2 VSR lads at the front of the grid. And this can actually be Dan's opportunity to catch up to Dylan Warren as well, if I'm not mistaken. As I said, in the standings, he is 19 points behind him. So with him picking up second in the fastest lap, it will tie him on points. If he picks up first, then it could be then he'll move up ahead of him as well, as it's looking very grey over Silverstone. Speaking to Dan Bree and V5 just before the race started, they were saying that it's not going to be raining, but I know sometimes it'll say that, and then, well, the game will have other plans, and it could potentially rain. So we'll keep our eye out on how this is going to go down. Just waiting for these guys to pick their strategies, picking their setup. Seeing if they want to adjust any of their setups for the race. But whilst we do that, I'm just going to take a quick drink just to recover a little bit for the race. As I said, I'm not feeling too well, so I'm just trying my best. Of course, if I don't sound as enthusiastic as I normally do, that's why. But you can see at the bottom of your screen, of course, it is a normal, easy, soft to medium one-stop strategy. Very easy to do. Around Silverstone, I think one of the only tracks that is easy to sort of get done around here as well. So hopefully we will see. Don't know why it's not letting me change the camera for some strange reason. But yeah, hopefully we can get that all sorted out, and hopefully. Well, I don't know what I was actually just rambling on about. I'm really sorry. But here we go. So, this is the tyres that everyone has decided to go on. So, Itendu, V5 and Black Panther all going on a set of the mediums to start off with. Inbounds Cupid, the only one outside of the top 10 to start on a set of softs. So, we'll see how it pays off for the Ferrari man. But as I said, guys, get your predictions in the chat for me. I will try and keep my eye out on them really quickly, and hopefully, as I said, we can have a sort of nice clean race. There is only 14 people here tonight, so it's a little bit of a poor turnout, and hopefully we can try and get a few more in for next week. And then maybe a little bit of a surprise as well, maybe for next week or the week after. So keep your eye out on for that one. But we are just waiting for everyone to finish their formation lap, and hopefully we can get this race all underway ASAP. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to start off with all of these guys as well, and seeing how this is going to be going from the very start. You can see all of these guys now just lining up behind Mr. Anchor, and that last car just reaching it now. So it says that the 5 lights are there. They're not there at the moment. It's just waiting. Here we go. So now we've got the 5 red lights going on. And it is lights out, and away we go. And it looks like Jake's actually got a very good start in comparison to Mr. Anchor already. Trying to go up his inside in towards turn 1. And I think Vallejo might also be trying to go down the inside of Dan. No, he is not. However, Tixi has already gotten past Bree. And a few bits of contact going down in the midfield. I think that Easy Tendu unfortunately spinning at the first corner. But here we go. The 2 VSR lads at the front. Jake and Mr. Anchor. Mr. Anchor does hold it back down the inside in towards turn 4. Retaking the lead of the race. However, Jake very close to the back of Mr. Anchor. Might try and go do something in towards Brooklands. He's trying to keep it in overtake as much as possible as this Black Panther has spun in the background. You can see he's unfortunately spun on the entrance to the hangar straight, unfortunately for the Belgian man making his return. Hopefully he can get that car sorted out, and I hope he hasn't got himself any damage from that. But the top four already getting away quite comfortably, as Bree is the one that has moved back in front. As in fact, Tixi was I think it was Tixi that actually had a bit of a spin. Oh no, it was Black Panther, but Tixi having a bit of a spin himself as V5 going down the inside of Greenpoint. Actually, I believe that was at the Cops corner. But inbounds Cupid and V5 making a very good start so far, already moving themselves up from 13th and 12th to 10th and 9th. And let's see how it's going to go further up on the field. As in fact, Dan and Sweden and Wills both side by side, as Dan I think was trying to go in that move for P2, but unfortunately has to stay behind Wills, and now that's going to allow Mr. Anchor to try and move his way up the grid. As Greenpoint, he is struggling majorly. He's got himself quite a bit of wing damage, so no wonder why he was struggling. But he makes his way into the pits as V5 can't seem to find his way past inbounds Cupid at the moment, so he's just having to stay behind him for now. But further up the field, as I said, these guys, it's the top 5 that are now all battling for it, as Black Panther has unfortunately retired from the session in lap 1 due to getting himself that major bit of wing damage. Nintendo and Greenpoint are also the other ones that are into the pits, as there's a bit of a time glitch going on the left hand side. You can see it says that inbounds Cupid is apparently 1 minute and 29 seconds behind Exy, which is not true. But yeah, I mean, it looks like this grid's already closing quite up. The top 8 already are very close to each other, and then you've got the massive gap between Tixi, inbounds Cupid, and V5. And in fact, Tixi and Tixi and V5 both were side by side, and V5 getting overtaken by Tixi through the Brooklands corner. So V5, he's gone from 0 to 0 from when he picked up that podium in Canada. Of course, in Austria, I think it didn't go too bad for him, but still, he's sitting down in P11 for now, and I know that's not the place he wants to be. He's going to try and make some moves up. But Graham, he's another one as well. He hasn't raced last couple of races. He's now back in as Mr. Anchor already in lap 2, picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. Tixi, in fact, has gone past both V5 and inbounds Cupid. So Tixi, he's up into 9th place as V5 picking himself up a 3-second time penalty as well. That is the predicted pit stop strategy. The game reckons that it'll be around lap 10 is when everybody will be making their pit stops, but I'm predicting around sort of lap 8 or lap 9 is where we will see the majority of the pit stops go down. Greenpoint unfortunately has spun at Cops corner, and I don't know if that is if he's going to call that a day there, because that's he's already been into the pits once already this race. However, I wouldn't ever sort of count them out, as in case you are new to the League of Europe, it is the top 12 that will get themselves points. Dan currently set fastest first sector, so he could be very well on for trying to challenge with these guys. Greenpoint, he has actually crashed at Magnus and Beckett, and we've got a full course safety car. So as I said, I thought Dan was maybe going to try and make his way up towards those guys. Now he definitely won't, and now because there's a safety car out, are we going to be seeing these guys going on to the set of the hards? Or they could potentially go on a set of the mediums, but it's going to be very difficult to carry them to the end of the race. It can be doable, but it's going to be very difficult to do so. So we'll keep our eye out on how these guys are going to fare on, as, well, in fact, that's already going to close that gap up that happened between Vallejo and his teammate. Bit of a timing glitch with Frey for some reason. Apparently he's all the way back in 11th. Wait, he is all the way down there. Very strange. I thought it was up further in the field. Oh. But yeah, here we go. Everyone is making their way into the pits. Bree, for some reason, had just stopped at the pit entry. Xy's in, TC's in, inbounds Cupid coming in as well. V5, because he started on a set of those mediums, he's had to stay out. Graham and Vallejo are the other ones that have stayed out. So here we go, Mr. Anchor on a set of mediums. Wills has gone on a set of hards. Dan on a set of mediums. Exy on a set of hards. Inbounds Cupid on a set of mediums. TC on a set of hards. But Frey, we've got mixes all over. What does Frey go on? Of course, he's the other one that has just made his way into the pits. But I feel like Wills, Exy, and TC may lose out, but it could benefit them towards the end of the race, as I believe Frey on a set of the hard compound of tyres. Yes, he is. So massive mixing strategy. And this is going to make for a very, very interesting restart to this race. But at the moment, Vallejo is the one that is going to be leading with Graham and V5 just behind him. But they are all now a pit stop behind. And of course, with this safety car, it's easy just to make themselves a quick pit stop. I don't know. It's gonna be tight. It's definitely gonna be tight for Vallejo and Graham. I'm surprised. I know that the reason why Vallejo didn't come in is because of his teammate, but I'm surprised Graham didn't come in. I would have really thought that Graham would have come in to just try and make up that time, because now he's going to be losing places left, right, and centre when he comes into the pits. Vallejo as well. There's getting a bit of a riv glitch with Vallejo, so I'm going to move off board with him. But this is going to make for an interesting restart, of course, especially with the 3 cars up in front not making themselves a pit stop. As bear with me 1 second. So I'm kind of interested how this restart is going to go down. Of course, we're not going to be restarting just yet. Frey is going to be the one that's going to be the final person to catch up to the queue. You can see on that mini-map on the right-hand side, he is only coming from Magnus and Beckett now. Itendo is the other one that's just making his way back up, as it started off quite badly for him. But now, with that safety car, he's already going to be back to the back of the grid. And of course, V5, Graham and Vallejo, they will need to make their next pit stops. So Itendo could be on for about a P7 or P8 finish once these guys have made their way into the pits. But of course, that's also all dependent later on in the race as well. And of course, if any mistakes happen from either of those as well, could be on for a very good result. Could the Frenchman. I was Black Panther put in the YouTube chat just saying shoulder hurts too much. I'm sorry, it's unfortunate, man. Hopefully, you know, you can sort that out soon, and hopefully you do get better soon. But everyone that does finish now, they will get themselves some points. As I said, it's 12 do get themselves points. So let's see who's going to be where and how we're going to fare on. As I believe we will restart this lap. So Vallejo, he will be taking us around up towards the line. As yet, there you go, safety car is in this lap, but I'm going on board with Graham because I keep going on that ref glitch with Vallejo, which is annoying, but I suppose it is what it is. And in fact, it's fixed itself. So Vallejo, I think, really needs to try and slow down behind that safety car, because otherwise he's not going to get a very good start in comparison to others. And there you go, there's the slowdown that he wanted. And in fact, I think he's already going for it. He looks like he's already trying to go for it. And it might be bunching up these guys here, but he's actually gotten away quite well in comparison to V5 as well. As you can see, V5 having a massive struggle on the restart now. Mr. Anchor trying to probably go down the inside in towards turn 1. In fact, he just thinks better of it and slots it in behind him for now, as Jake is also very close to the back of V5. Got a bit of a battle here going on as Mr. Anchor trying to go down the inside in towards turn 3 now. V5 trying to hold it around the outside, who will have the inside for turn 4. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. V5 tries to hold it down the inside. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, but V5 does manage to hold it now. He's put a car in between him and Jake, as Jake, he's trying to make his way and trying to keep that position, trying to keep as much as he can from Mr. Anchor, as V5 tries to hold on. He's keeping it around the outside, but I think he's gotten through. And now Dan trying to go around the outside of V5 through Brooklands. I think he's gotten that move done. Very close between each other. I think V5 is still side by side. No, he is not. V5 now Dan into P6, already losing out 3 places in the space of just this one lap so far, unfortunately for him. And of course you can see just behind him it is his teammate of Bree. But those top two, they made a bit of a good getaway, but now Mr. Anchor is starting to close up to the back of him as Jake losing a lot of time to Mr. Anchor, already 1.2 seconds behind him, as Dan, I think, might be trying to eye up a move on him. But you can see how much overspeed he's got in comparison to Jake. He go down the inside, up towards Stowe, goes the Dutchman in the McLaren, already getting that move done down the inside. Jake, I think, was hoping that he was trying to go for a bit of a switchback, but I think just touched the back of Dan. So Jake, he's now going to have to stay down in P5, and I feel like he may have made a bit of a mistake going on these set of hards, the same with Exy and Tixi, but again, we'll see how it pays off come towards the end of the race. He's now got Bree charging up the back of him, and let's see if Bree, he's able to get past Jake coming through, because DRS is not enabled as of yet, and I've also just realised that Mr. Anchor has gotten past Graham, so the next one he's got to try and get past is Vallejo, our current race leader. Is Inbounds Cupid just being overtaken by Frey down the back of the grid, but they're both still side by side. Inbounds Cupid trying to hold it around the outside. He's got a bit of wing damage. I don't know how he's picked that up, but he's kept it around the outside of Frey, and very good defensive mover from the Ferrari, so he is back up into P11. But a little bit further up the field as well, you can see Tixi and Exy, of course, the guys that have decided to opt on a set of the hard compounder tyres. You tend to already losing quite a bit of places, or quite a bit of time to these guys up in front. As Frey and Inbounds Cupid again go side by side through Cops. A bit of contact between the pair of them. Has Frey gotten that move done? He has indeed. So Inbounds Cupid, unfortunate for him, he's lost out that place once again. He's now down into P12 as Graham and Dan both side by side. Dan getting the move done on Graham. Graham now down into P4, and I'm still surprised he did not come in to make any sort of pit stop. He hasn't got a teammate this evening, so I would have thought Graham would have been one of those ones to come in to try and keep up with all these guys, but unfortunately it hasn't worked out for him. His DRS is now enabled. Mr. Anchor is very close to the other McLaren now, as Dan is the one that is in net P2. But Mr. Anchor, he's going to try and find a way past Vallejo quick time. Vallejo will try and do as much as he can to maybe defend from his teammate. So we'll keep our eyes out on this one, as here we go. DRS is now wide open for the Finn, getting past one of his fellow countrymen. Mr. Anchor back into the lead of the race. Vallejo down into second position. We might be seeing a little bit of a battle going on just behind us as well, with Exy and V5, as Exy very close to the back of V5, but not able to get past him at the moment, as V5 still the only other one that is yet to pit along with Graham and Vallejo. So we'll keep our eyes out on how these guys are faring on. Bree, he's still keeping tabs at the moment with Jake. Of course, there's also one thing to note and one thing to remember. Mr. Anchor did pick himself up a 3-second time penalty. We must remember that come towards the end of the race. So it could hamper those standings when we get to the end of it. But at the moment, Bree, he's just keeping tabs with Wills and Graham, as well as Wills, in fact, got DRS on Graham. I think there's nothing much that Graham can do. Well, Graham has got the DRS as well. Wills, he's not closing up to the back of him, so he's just going to have to stay behind the racing point for now. Was thinking of maybe a little bit of a lunge down the inside, but he's had to remain behind his fellow Brit. And that's allowing Bree to now close up to the back of him. And Bree, we could be seeing him getting his first podium. I don't want to say anything, even though I've just said it, but we could possibly be seeing him getting his first podium, just like his teammate did in Canada. As speaking of that, Exy runs very wide at the exit of the final corner, chasing down V5. So that would have given him a warning, as Tixi's now very close to the back of him. As there we go, Graham and Wills both side by side. Graham trying to dive it back down the inside and spun. Wills is round. And that's allowed V5 to go through, although both still side by side. They do hold it around of each other, and now V5 has got V5 has no DRS, but Wills, he got a much better, or much worse exit. Now, still both side by side going through the Brooklands corner, as I think V5 might actually be getting the overtake done. He's got the inside coming around, and I think V5, he is in the P6. In fact, they're both still side by side. I'm going to stick on board with Tixi here, because this is going to be a very good battle here, going through Cop's corner. Oh no, this is where it could end in absolute disaster. Both still side by side. V5, he tries to hold it down the inside, a little bit of comfort. Ooh! Not what you wanted to happen. V5 unfortunately goes round, and Tixi's out of the session as well. As V5, he tried his best to hold it, and unfortunately for him, he's gone round. And now, Jake, he's down into P6. I can't see any wing damage for him, so he's managed to keep it for now. But of course, he's had that spin with Graham. So I get the feeling we're probably going to see a couple of stewards reports after this race, but Well, I mean, it was going so well for Jake, especially considering he's on those hard set of tyres now. This is where it's going to get interesting. You can see on the right hand side the pit window is open for guys that are on a set of the softs now to come in for a set of the mediums, and I'm assuming that's what Vallejo and Graham are going to be doing as V5 comes into the pits. I think he got himself up quite a bit of wing damage from all of those collisions that he had just a minute ago, as Bree is very close to the back of Graham now. Bree, he is now a net P3, and of course he's going to have to fend off from Wills charging down the back of him. He's 2 seconds behind him. But in order to do that, he's going to need to get past the likes of, well, he's going to need to get past Graham and Vallejo ASAP. As Dan, he's not even closing up to his back of his teammate that much, actually, now that I think about it. It's Graham. I don't think he's going to try and fight that one too much. Bree going down the inside of him in towards Cops, and Bree just slots straight past him. So the Maltese is in, as I said, P4 at the moment, in P3, and Wills, he is closing that gap down quite quickly as well. As Graham will have the DRS on Bree, so Bree's going to need to do everything in his power to make sure that Graham doesn't get that pass. So DRS is now wide open for the racing point. I don't think he's close enough to getting any sort of move done. Bree is struggling on the ERS, but no sort of move is going to be done. So Bree, I think all he's got to do is just try and make that gap, and he will be keeping that P3 as Vallejo now goes into the pits for that set of mediums. There's Frey and Nintendo now both side by side. Frey in fact goes round. I think him and Nintendo were both side by side going through Stowe, and unfortunately Nintendo, I don't know if he left any space on the inside, or Frey went a bit too deep and understeered into him. I'm not too sure what happened at all. But Nintendo, he's now up into P7 as Vallejo is just making his way out of the pits. It's V5, another 3-second time penalty for him in the Mercedes. It's gone from what happened, it was a really good start, to an absolute horrendous restart under the safety car, as Graham still keeping tabs with Bree, and now Wills, he's only 1.5 seconds behind Bree, so Bree really needs to get a move on if he wants to get away from Wills. Of course, Wills on a set of the hards, Bree is on a set of the mediums. Both of these guys are going to try and take these to the end, although Wills will have a bit more of an advantage come towards the end of the race, as those tyres will be a bit more suitable, whereas the mediums will be a bit more worn compared to what the hards will be at the end of the race. So we could be seeing a little bit of a battle going on at the end of the race for P3 for Bree and Wills, but nonetheless we'll keep our eye out on how this is going to go. Vallejo is stuck behind inbounds Cupid as Graham, I think, just let Wills go from when he had that collision with him in turn 3 and turn 4. Unfortunate for him, as in fact Graham, yeah, he does go into the pits. So Wills, he's already within that 1 second mark of Bree. So let's see if Wills is going to be able to get some sort of move done. You can see the back of Bree's car is flashing, as in fact Wills actually picked up the fastest final sector just then, and Frey a 3-second time penalty to the Spaniard's name. But Bree, he just looks like he's struggling a little bit more than what Wills is already. He's only been on those mediums for 7 laps. They can take about 20 laps on these mediums, and he's only been 7 on them so far. DRS is open for the Brit who's in the Ferrari, but is actually should be in the Williams. Unfortunately, I just don't think he picked his car. And Vallejo is already up into P7. He's 3 seconds down the road from Frey, and then 16 seconds down the road from the likes of Exy and Wills. So Exy, he's actually on for a very good points position here, is the German. So if he just keeps it nice and clean and where he is at the moment, P5 looks like it will be his. And that'll be a very good result for the AlphaTauri. I think that might be the best result for the AlphaTauri so far. I'm not too sure, because I think Bones might have picked up, I don't know if Bones picked up a P5 or a P4 as well, but it could be joint the best that the AlphaTauris have seen for this season. But DRS now wide open for Jake or Wills. He's not close enough to Bree still, but it means he is gaining on Bree. I'm surprised Bree isn't pulling away, because he does have the softer tyre advantage on Wills, so I'm surprised Bree isn't pulling away from him. Up front you can also see Dan, he's lost a lot of time to Mr. Anchor up front, as in fact I think a battle is about to go on now for P8. Graham and Inbounds Cupid both side by side. Inbounds Cupid is the one on the set of the medium tyres, a bit of wing damage on his front left end plate, nothing that he can do. Graham already down the inside and straight into P8, as in fact Inbounds Cupid comes into the pits, interestingly enough. We'll keep our eye out for that one. As we go, Bree, Wills, side by side, going through Brooklands corner, and now Wills into P3. I'm surprised Bree is really struggling on these mediums. Really surprised Bree is struggling on these mediums, but I mean, as I said, Bree at the moment, he's still keeping tabs with him. Of course, both are very low on ERS. Both are around sort of like the 10 to 15% mark on ERS, as you can see. Bree, of course, he will have the DRS on Will, so we could be seeing a bit of a feisty fight here going on for P3. And ironically, it's a Ferrari versus a Mercedes, which we were having, of course, throughout the last few seasons. But here we go, DRS wide open for Bree now. He's gaining on the Ferrari, but he's not close enough. So Jake, he's done as much as he could to get away from him, and he's done exactly that. He's gotten away from him, and now another battle that we're seeing forming up here is this battle here for P6, Frey and Vallejo. Of course, Frey on a set of the hards. In fact, he goes into the grass. Frey, there's nothing he can do. He's just actually, he's gone a bit too wide, understeered through into the entrance of Chapel, and that's now Vallejo into P6. He's 17 seconds down the road from Exy. Of course, it is doable to try and catch up, but it's not very likely he's going to catch up. One mistake, though, can change it all, but at the moment, it's looking like this is what the order is actually going to be, because there's loads of gaps you can see throughout here. This is the closest one so far, though, and it is this battle for P3. Wills and Bree still both battling here, as Bree still not close enough to getting any sort of move done on Wills. What is probably better for him to do, and I think this is what Wills is doing, is just to try and maintain his ERS, because then he gets more of he gets a bit more of an attack on the Ferrari, or Williams in the Ferrari, shall I say. And hopefully he'll be able to get some sort of move done. But at the moment, top three is looking like it's going to be Mr. Anchor, Dan, and Wills. Of course, unless there's any sort of penalties that will go in either of these third or fourth places ways. Bree is just keeping up and keeping that DRS to Wills, however. But you can see they're both really using up that DRS to try and either keep themselves in it or to try and get themselves out of it. As Mr. Anchor, yet another fastest lap for the Finn. He's just putting in fastest lap after fastest lap after fastest lap at this point, and now he's 6.5 seconds up ahead of Dan as Wills. Little bit of a shake-up in the final corner that's allowed Bree to just gain on him ever so slightly. And again, little mistakes like that is what could be the difference for P3 in this race. Of course, you can see both of their ERSs are now well maintained, and here we go. This is where Bree, I think, is going to chuck in this ERS on. Yeah, you go into overtake now, and so does Wills. Oh no, Wills actually doesn't, but Bree, he does have that DRS as well. Of course, once again, not close enough, but usually around at this point in Brooklands, you don't want to get the move done. It's usually at the long, I think that's actually the hanger straight, the back straight after Chapel is where you really want to have that DRS, because then that's where you gain the most momentum. That's where you can, plus it's a corner where it's almost still flat out. It's still a high-speed corner, should I say. So it's easier to get a move done either around the outside or down the inside of there. Either way, probably one of the only corners on the calendar where you can see a move go around either the outside or down the inside. They can always take their pick. But Bree, once again, still winning that DRS of the Ferrari of Wills up ahead. But again, not close enough to get any sort of move done. All Bree's really hoping, I think, is for Wills to pick up some sort of penalty. And do you know what? I know these guys are very close to battling now, but I'm going to have a check on it anyway, because we can see just in the background as to what these guys are doing. So, Mr. Anchor, he is sitting on one penalty with one warning. Dan, no warnings whatsoever. Wills, just the one warning. Bree, 2 warnings. Exy, 3 warnings, but no penalty, so I'm assuming one's a collision. Vallejo, just the 1 warning. Frey has the 1 penalty. Graham, 3 warnings, of course one I think is also collision. Etendo has 2 penalties. V5 has 3 penalties, in fact only picked it up just this lap. Inbound Cupid, no penalties, he's got 2 warnings. Yeah, TXC, Greenpoint and Black Panther of course have all unfortunately retired as well. But Bree, he's starting to lose time now to the back of Wills. As you can see, V5 is now also closing up to the back of Etendo. Those guys have got quite a few penalties themselves, so that really, I think, is the battle for P9 at the moment of Etendo and V5, and I'll go on board with that one very, very shortly. But Bree, he's lost out that 1 second gap to him and Jake, and I think Bree, yeah, he's out of DRS, so Bree really is hoping that Wills can pick himself up a penalty. As at the moment, Bree is also on the verge of getting himself a penalty, which is not exactly what the Maltese man would have wanted. He was looking so good for a podium this evening. As I said, it does just take a couple of mistakes to make, but at the moment, it's just looking like how it's going to go. I think that's what the order is going to be looking like at the moment, though. We've still got this battle going on for P9, a bit of a nice helicopter shot here between the Haas and the Mercedes of Etendu and V5. V5, of course, picking up his first podium ever in the League of Europe at Canada a couple of weeks ago. And now, unfortunately, he's down here battling for 9th place. But he is closing up to the back of Etendu. In fact, I've just realised Etendu did come into the pits because he was on a set of the hard tyres and he's coming for a set of the mediums. But I don't know if he's going to have anything to do with trying to battle off this charge from V5 as V5 tries to go around the outside of the Frenchman. Bit of contact between the pair of them. Etendu just braking significantly later than what V5 did down the inside of Stowe. And now he's trying to hold it around the outside of the final chicane. V5 getting the move done on the Frenchman. And now, in fact, Etendu's got a much better run than what V5 did out of the final corner. Etendu, he might even try and go for something down in towards turn 1, but V5, he's chucking it into overtake as well. Oh, bit of contact between the pair of them, and Etendu is round, and Etendu is out of the race, and there is a full course safety car, and somehow V5 has gotten a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with him. I don't know how he's picked that up, because we know we're both still side by side, but that's, well, I'd be very happy if I was Dan. I would be very happy if I was Dan, as V5 picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, unfortunately for him. But that's allowing Jake, he's gone into the pits, going on a set of the softs. Exy, I believe, is also doing the same. And these guys, look how much of a gap they've got to the back of Vallejo. They might just jump him. As Frey picks himself up a drive-through for speeding under the safety car as well. So him and V5 both having drive-throughs. That's going to allow Inbounds, Cupid and Graham to move themselves up in the order. But Vallejo, is he going to be able to jump these two in the pits? Of course, he's got to keep under the delta for the safety car. He's got past Exy. He's got past Wills. So, at the moment, Bree is really hoping that Vallejo puts up some sort of fight against him because, well, Will's on a fresh set of softs. Exy's going to be on a fresh set of softs. These two could be very well beat, moving themselves up the order. Come towards the end of the race as Frey and Graham both make their way into the pits. V5 on those hards has stayed out. As inbounds Cupid, he has just been lapped by Mr. Anchor. And now he's, well, in fact, it's a bit annoying for Dan because Dan's now got that 1 car gap between him and Mr. Anchor, and he's hoping that it's going to save for him to go and overtake the safety car. But for now, he's having to stay behind it. As Vallejo, under the safety car, has picked us up a 3-second time penalty. So, not ideal. At all. Not ideal. But Inbounds Cupid is actually coming into the pits. Mr. Anchor goes into the pits. Dan goes into the pits. Bree into the pits. Vallejo's going to inherit a race lead. And Jake's going to be in 2nd place. Why have they just come into the pits? Okay. I'm very surprised all of these guys are coming into the pits. Okay. Is Frey going to jump him? No, he's not going near. Allow them to be 5, so they emerge in 4th, 5th and 6th. So our top 3 currently are Vallejo, Jake and Exy. This really has spiced up this race. Yeah, Dave saying it in the chat, steady from Nintendo spices up the race though. Yeah, it does indeed. think V5 did leave him enough room on the inside, but he tended to just get a little bit ambitious, trying to go down his inside, and there's nothing that he could do. So unfortunately, he is out of the race. But somehow, Vallejo is now going to have to restart once again under the safety car. Okay. Fair play. That's all I can say is fair play. As now inbounds Cupid, he's down into what is actually 6th place, so he is a gap between him and Bree. As inbound Cupid apparently got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Dan. Okay. Did he get himself any damage from that? He did. He's got front left end plate damage. And safety car comes in late this lap as Graham has caught up to the back of that pack. Is inbounds Cupid allowed to overtake these guys though? I don't think he is, and Vallejo is just going, he's trying to go as early as he can, and it looks as if he has done just that, but Jake has realised it, and now look how close he is to the back of Vallejo now. We could be seeing a new race winner for today. However, it all comes down to it as Mr. Anchor is the one sitting in P4 at the moment, right behind Exy, although we could be seeing a move going up ahead as well. Mr. Anchor trying to go down the inside of Exy in towards turn 3, gets the move done. Oh, still both side by side. Exy's going to hold it down into turn 4, both still side by side. This is an amazing result for the AlphaTauri if he does manage to hold this, and now still both side by side as Exy losing that place to Mr. Anchor, and now Vallejo's down into P2. Mr. Anchor, he needs to get past Vallejo ASAP, and here we go, he's going to try and go down into Brooklands. He's gotten the move done already on his fellow Finn, and now Dan, he's losing out quite a bit too. These guys just up ahead of him as well. Free picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. Exy now trying to go down the inside of Vallejo, getting the move done out on the exit of Brooklands, although both still side by side as Exy had a little bit of a bit of a shaky manoeuvre. Now Dan trying to hold it around the outside of Cops. He's done this move on me. He's going to try and do it again on Exy. He's gotten the move done once again. Dan, he loves doing that move around the outside. Absolutely loves it. But there you go, Dan into P4. Now he's got his teammate as the next one to challenge. And now I think Vallejo is just going to let him just soothe on by. I don't know if Exy's going to be able to get past him, however. No, he's not. So Dan, he's into 3rd position. He's lost out quite a bit of time to Mr. Anchor and Wills. And of course, Mr. Anchor, he's got that 3-second time penalty. There's not going to be any DRS until for another 2 more laps. So Jake is the one that is still in the race lead at the moment. Even if Mr. Anchor does overtake him, all Jake's got to do is stay within 3 seconds of him, and he's won the race. Dan is the other one. He needs to try and stay within 3 seconds of these guys as well. If he does, it'll be a good result for him. He'll manage to actually overtake Mr. Anchor just due to penalties, but that's if he does manage to stay with him. And we've seen what he's been like before when Mr. Anchor has gotten away from him for about that second, and you can see how much Mr. Anchor is closing up to the back of Jake as well. Only half a second. In fact, he's gaining on him down the straight, but he's not close enough. And both, I was going to say, both on similar ERS. In fact, Mr. Anchor is on a significantly less ERS than what Jake is. I think because he wants to try and inherit that race lead early and try and build up a gap. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's working. And it looks like Jake is doing all that he can just to keep him behind. And now Dan, still 1.5 seconds behind him, and Exy still not finding his way past Vallejo, interestingly enough. And in fact, Bree, he's also losing out because he's down into P6. So he's 1.2 seconds behind this group up ahead of him. I'm really surprised Bree didn't stay out though, because I feel like he would still be within that little fight there. As Dan, he's closing back up to the back of Mr. Anchor and Jake. Now only 1.2 seconds, and I think Mr. Anchor is really hoping he can get past Jake ASAP, but he's not close enough to getting anything done. Dan might actually be setting the fastest lap of the session here as Frey. 5 seconds stop go for speeding into the pit lane. He's got to serve his drive-through. V5 also needs to serve his drive-through. I think he's only got 1 more lap to do it as DRS is now enabled. Here we go, Mr. Anchor and Jake. In fact, no, he hasn't got 1 more lap. V5 has been disqualified from the session for ignoring that drive-through penalty. So V5, he's now out of the race. There's only 9 people that are left driving, and at the moment, inbounds Cupid, he's actually only just in lap to self and Frey, but here we go now, DRS is wide open, this is for the race lead, Jake and Mr. Anchor. Now, Mr. Anchor going around the outside of Brooklands, and now Jake, he's just got to stay within 3 seconds of him because of Mr. Anchor having that penalty early on in the race, but he's already building a gap out as quick as he can, and Dan, he's trying to keep within a second of at least these two as well to try and keep himself with some sort of DRS, but at the moment it's looking like he might just be out of it, as he's still not close enough to getting any sort of unlapped done from the Spaniard of Frey. But you can see just up ahead, Jake, DRS is, now wide open once again for him. He's still not close enough to get any sort of move done. However, he has gone purple sector 1, so Jake could be going on for a fastest lap of the race here, as I think Mr. Anchor is the one that's currently holding the fastest lap of the race. He is 26.5. As Dan is starting to lose tabs with him. Dan really needs to try and stay within those 3 seconds. It's 2.8 seconds now, the gap between him and Mr. Anchor. He gets out that 3-second mark, then he will lose out to P2 and will end up just taking P3 in the end. But he's trying to keep that gap as much as he can to Mr. Anchor, but it's just looking like he's much quicker. And now Jake, once again, DRS is wide open for him against Mr. Anchor. And you can see how much he's gaining on him, especially with the extra bit of DRS in comparison. Same with DRS, but not close enough, as in fact Bree and Exy have just traded places. In fact, both going side by side through Stowe. Bree shuts the door on the German and now is through into P6. But we could be seeing a very interesting battle come towards the end of the race. Dan has closed that back up now. It's 2.3 seconds splits him and Mr. Anchor. Mr. Anchor's really got to get himself a move on if he wants to try and get at least P2 in this race, because at the moment, Jake is the one that will take the win of this race. But here we go, DRS now wide open for Jake. Overtake, it was on just to come out of that corner, but DRS still open for him, not close enough again for any sort of move to be done. And now Bree still not close enough to getting a move done on Vallejo. I think Bree really wants to try and close up to the back of these guys as well, because if he gets 3 seconds of Mr. Anchor, Dan is only just on the cusp of it, so it's going to be almost impossible unless Mr. Anchor makes some sort of mistake. But at the moment, it's looking like the top 3, it is going to be Mr. Anchor, Wills and Dan, but Jake looks like he will take the win. Dan looks like he may take second, and Mr. Anchor could take third. Again, it all depends on this final lap. Of course, also with that penalty that Mr. Anchor has gotten, it's really making him suffer from that. And Dan doing everything he can to try and keep up. He's 2.3 seconds behind him still. And it feels like Dan is just a lot quicker around in this final section of the track. Jake, he's starting to lose tabs to Mr. Anchor. He's 8/10 behind him. He's only got 2 more laps to go. He just needs to try and hold on with DRS. Of course, if he gets out of that DRS, it could allow Mr. Anchor to just get away. And that's not what Jake would like to happen. This is 8/10 behind him. In fact, now a second behind him, but he did get the DRS. So here we go. DRS now wide open for the Ferrari as he makes his way again to the back of Mr. Anchor. He's going to keep tabs with him and keep in that DRS for now. Does have a bit of a lock-up though, and a little bit further down, here we go, battle for P4, here we go, Bree, Vallejo. Bree down the inside of Vallejo, down through Brooklyn's corner. Vallejo's going to try and hold down the inside, around the long right-hander, and now Bree, he gets a better run out of it, and Bree, of course, on the softer compounder tyre and fresher tyres, Bree is into P4, but I think it's too late for the Maltese man to try and get that P3, unfortunately, but Dan, he's the other one that could be suffering from this, as Jake, DRS is wide open for him once again. 2.8 seconds now is Dan and Dan and Mr. Anchor. It is all going to come down to the final lap. As I said, it's now 2.9 seconds. So here we go. Frey picking up the fastest lap of the race. Bloody, very quick fast lap. As Vallejo actually got past Bree once again. So Vallejo, he's not giving up this P4 without a fight. But here we go. Final lap of the race now. Mr. Anchor, he's got it all to do. He's lost that DRS to Jake. So Jake, he's got to just do it all on race power. He's still within that 3 seconds. But Dan, he's got to do everything he can. He's got to put everything into this car to keep within those 3 seconds of Mr. Anchor, and by the end of this lap we will see if he does inherit that P2 ahead of him. Here we go. So this is all more race power now. Mr. Anchor barely any ERS left. Jake still not having that much ERS. I'm going to keep on this gap with the leader. It's hovering at that 3 second mark. Dan just needs a couple of good runs out of a few of these corners and then he will take that P2. But look at this gap. 3 seconds dead on. Dan. He just needs to get in those 3 seconds. Is he going to be able to do this come towards the end of the race? We're now coming up to the final section of the race. He's going through Copse. He got much better exit than what Mr. Anchor did coming through Copse. He's now coming through Magnus and Beckett's and Chapel. Mr. Anchor, again, it started off very well for him. Well, I say it started off well. It started off actually quite badly for him because that's where he picked up his penalty. In the second lap, he picked himself up that penalty. 3 seconds dead on. It's literally going to come up towards the line, but Mr. Anchor, he is coming up to the final chicane now. He's a 10th down as Bree's gotten past Vallejo, going through Stowe, but here we go. Mr. Anchor now comes across the line to win, but Jake, he will jump him. Does Dan jump him? No, in fact, he had a 5-second stop go that was unserved. That was a bit anticlimactic. Here we go, race to the end though. Bree, he jumps up to P4. Well, how close was he? I really want to know how close he was to the back of Dan, because that could have been the difference between him getting P3 and P4. I really, really want to know. But Bree finishes 4th. Vallejo does finish 5th. Graham does finish 6th. Exie in 7th. It was a good battle between these guys in the end, but unfortunately that's just how that happened. Frey is in 8th and inbound Cupid. He looks like he will finish 9th. He's got quite a heavy left end plate damage, but on his debut, he does pick himself up at least 4 points. Does inbounds Cupid and Frey. Of course, we'll just wait for him to come across the line as inbounds Cupid will actually finish just ahead of him, but just because he's been lapped. So there we go. 5-second penalty that's unserved for him. But Frey, very unfortunate for how his race had started. Very unfortunate for what happened to Tixi as well. As Frey goes round. And yeah, I think that's, yeah. We just wait for Frey to finish at the moment. He didn't pick up any damage from that, weirdly enough, but I suppose it is what it is. But Jake finally gets himself that maiden win that he was wanting. He didn't manage to get a puncture on the last lap. He didn't manage to get a penalty on one of the closing stages. He's kept it clean. He's taken the win this time around. Driver of the day on the game, it shows it is the newbie of inbounds Cupid. But I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have to get a driver of the day with this man on the screen right now. It is Jake. Says he's in the Ferrari, but he's definitely in the Williams. But a very good comeback race from him. Of course, he was down. He had that collision with V5. He had the collision with Graham as well. Went on the hard compound of tyres to them. When the safety car came out, once again goes on a soft set of the tyres. And now he took the win. So there you go, Jake taking the top spot of the grid. Mr. Anchor, he comes home to finish in P2. Dan does finish in P3 in the end. Bree in 4th with Vallejo in 5th. Graham in 6th. Exit in 7th. Frey in 8th with the fastest lap. In 9th was inbounds Cupid, and of course the ones that had unfortunately DNF'd. There were quite a few guys that had DNF. I think it was Tendu, Tixi, V5 getting disqualified, and 2 other guys unfortunately for them. But I suppose that is what that is. That has been the Silverstone Grand Prix for this evening for you guys. Thank you all for watching. Of course, you can catch D1, D3 and D4 tomorrow night at 6:40 PM UK time, and D2 and D5 at the same time as what the stream has started this evening at 8 PM British Standard Time or UK time. Thank you everyone for watching.